Hi, I'm Samuel Prather, Reason user since 2003. Today I just wanted to take a minute to really go in depth into the way I created my trailer for Terminator Dark Fate. That's going to be in theaters on November 1st. So if you checked out my previous video, I just went really quickly through what I did, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth. What I wanted to do was really focus on that iconic Terminator theme. And to me, it's always been about that da-dum, dum, da-dum, right? That's always been like the biggest piece of it that screams Terminator. So I wanted to focus on that, even though it might seem a little cliche to people that have heard it before. So once I got that concept down, I just used a redrum, found a drum sound from the Orchestra. Is that how you say it? Orchestra? I don't know. But I found a sound from the Orchestra set and just set it up in my redrum and just da-dum, dum, da-dum. And I wanted to do something a little bit different with it. So I wanted to go ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, and then leave some gaps in it and then do it like a whole bunch of different ways, the way that a jazz musician might make different variations on a theme. P.S. There's a lot of great drums in there. I know everybody has all these plugins and outside sounds, but the orchestra still cranks even in Reason 11. I started out with those drums and then I put that scenic in there, and the sound that I got really inspired everything else that I did in the track. So I had that as a bed almost the whole time for the track, and it was just an amazing bath of synth that was just fat and warm and morphing and everything that you might want in a synth. So like I've said before in my last video, it's really worth the upgrade money just for that if you're on the fence. The next thing that I did was I pulled up a clang, and I just copied the idea from the bass drum and I moved it to a clang. And then I thought about it and I was like, I want it to be more of a response than happen at the same time. And so I just slid it over so it happens in between. So boom, 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 like a call and response. I also added a Humana into the mix to get a little bit more. But really, at this point, the only thing that was missing was that orchestral sound. And I really wanted to make a big orchestra sound because that's an important part of a cinematic soundtrack, in my opinion. So I started out playing all the parts with one string sound. It's all single string sounds and maybe a couple layers. All this stuff is present in the orchestra sound bank. Once again, I didn't use any fancy plugins, even though I was tempted to. And what I ended up doing to make it sound thicker was that I doubled those parts and quadrupled and I copied them a ton of times, and I made small variations in the velocity so that the notes would be a little bit different, and so that would give that thickness that you get when you hear a real orchestra. So all that together gives me that big orchestra sound, knowing that I have different types of strings playing the same note, but it sounds a little bit different. So Adobe and Terminator Dark Fate gave us this big goodie bag of little clips from the trailer, as well as some stock footage and some audio things that I could use. All of this stuff is really beautiful, and now I can kind of understand why somebody who does this for a living would really just kind of be in heaven, because editing these beautiful clips together is really awesome. But I wanted to make sure that I stuck to my idea of being centered on that theme. So what I did was I took that theme, I put it in Premiere, and I started messing with it because I thought I had a firm idea of what I wanted it to sound like before I started cutting stuff together, and then that changed. I know what you're thinking. It's Reason 11. Did you use it as a plugin? No, because I was rushing to catch a plane to Russia, and I did not have time to figure out how to get the VSTs to update. Anyway, I did make some changes and extended the part of the track that was more ambient in the beginning, and I started lining up clips along with the waveforms, da-da-bump-ba-dum, so that they hit at the same time. So made it a really ba-dum-bump-ba-dum, jumpy, aggressive kind of cut. And I used the spaces in the middle to tell longer stories, and that was really the best way to go because all the clips that they gave us were really short.
Talk fast.
You may have changed the future, but you didn't change our fate.
From a storytelling standpoint, I wanted to make sure that I didn't give away too much. I thought they gave way too much away in the original trailer. So I wanted to just really pare it down and tell about as little as I could about the actual storyline of the movie so that it's completely fresh. There's something saved for the viewer when they actually see the movie in theaters. I used an Adobe stock footage shot of a car just driving down that windy road because it's not a plot point, but it does kind of pull you in, like, where are they going? And it just so happened to fit really well with all the other stuff that I kind of had. So, and if you don't know, trailers for movies often use stuff that doesn't even end up in the movie. So the job of the trailer is to get you excited about the movie and into the seat at the theater, not to know the whole plot of the movie or to be super accurate to what's going to be on the screen. I took the audio, I took the existing clip, I started cutting it into what seemed like the story that I wanted to tell in this trailer. Yeah, you're Sarah Connor. You thought you saved the future, but you didn't. There's some more crap coming. And I'm here to save you from that. So that's the story that I wanted to tell in the trailer. And I did that by cutting out all the funny stuff. I did that by cutting out a lot of the dialogue that got away from that. No, at first, they didn't have any explosions and gunfire or anything that I could work with from the sound effects standpoint, so I had to go buy some, and I was not happy about that at first. But thankfully, I went to this site. Everything was really easy to search. It took me a while to figure out, but there was such a good variety that I didn't have to try to make a round peg, fit in a square hole. And everything was able to be tailored specifically to what I wanted. I ended up spending about $50, but I figured I'm not going to be doing this a whole bunch of times. And besides, I can reuse these clips later on if I need to. So I'll just put them in my library of Foley effects. I can tell you that these effects made a complete night and day difference in the trailer. What really made it feel like a trailer was not the story, because I felt like I did a great job of telling the story. I'll pat myself on the back there, that I wanted to tell. But when I added those sound effects, that really brought it home as being cinematic. So if you're making a trailer or if you're making any video, just go ahead and go that extra step and put those Foley sound effects in there so that it really feels like a high budget Hollywood flick.
Talk fast.
You may have changed the future, but you didn't change our fate. But I'm here to protect you. Nobody else is gonna die because of me! If you don't make it, everybody dies!
Hopefully you learned something today from what I went over that you can use in your own productions. I'm Samuel Prather. I hope I gave you a reason to create.